Everybody, client check-in day. I would love to get you some information and have you start to think about Thanksgiving. So everybody has a different Thanksgiving, and I don't know what it's like for you, but I want you to ask yourself the question, what goals do I have for Thanksgiving? And sometimes I ask this question, and I think people wonder in their brain, like, well, I don't know if I can resist, or I don't know if I can do it. And that's not necessarily the question. So the question is, if you could figure it out, what do you want to achieve for this Thanksgiving? This is like, how many Thanksgivings have you had? How many days, or how many times have you been sick after Thanksgiving? I tell you what, most of the time in the past, have always gotten myself sick. I would go all day without eating, and then last minute, I would, have the Thanksgiving meal. I would literally be calorie counting and just indulging crazy at Thanksgiving dinner. And so just the mindset behind that is so scarcity mentality and doesn't really account for the habits that we're creating and the health that we are going to create. An example too. So I want you to think about what you want for your goals. And there was a plan of action sheet that I sent out on Saturday, and have you gone through that? Because I want to make sure you're prepared. Without a plan, you're not going to be successful. And I want you to think about the last Wednesday webinar. They talked about saying that I plan to go, to deviate off of the 5-in-1. And as they say that, they were like also using, it's like the chatter from your limbic system that is reformulating, and you're saying that, but it's not really in line with who you want to be and with what you want to create and the determination and the self-discipline that you want to have. So I just want you to kind of think about that for a minute of what do you want? Okay, so in saying that, pre-planning is 24 hours in advance and a written plan. So like, I am going to have one slice of XYZ. Or have you ever gone for Thanksgiving without your favorite XYZ? Because maybe this is the year. Maybe you'd feel really amazing. Maybe you're turning a new leaf, creating a new identity. There's so many things that can be really empowering about that. So I would challenge you to just consider that. And remember, I'm totally available for Marco Polo. It won't be like right away, but if you have questions on Marco Polo, I'll be having a lot of downtime, and I can just kind of go back and forth according to the time zones. So go ahead and feel free to Marco Polo me on that, any other things that you have. And I think I have a lot of you into a health challenge, show up challenge, Marco Polo group, and you can ask questions in there too, so we can help each other. That'd be fun. So what types of recipes are you planning? Whose house is it at? And what do you say in social situations? I think a lot of time we are really focused on what it's going to be like at the event. Are we going to feel awkward? And like, a lot of this is also centered on ourselves. Like, let's be honest, right? How will I look? How will I appear? What will people think of me? So I want you to think of, I had a client once and I just thought it was so awesome. She's like, oh, I don't care at all what people think, because this is my dream. Like, I feel so good. My joints are not hurting. Like, it wasn't even on her radar that she would care what somebody thinks. But there is the other side of it where we don't want to offend or anything like that. And so what I would say is, the shorter the better. If you make this big old grandiose explanation, like, I mean, you can have a conversation about habits and different things like that. But if we dwell on the food, if you make somebody else feel bad for what they're eating, it doesn't feel good inside to you either. So just saying, no, thank you, without an explanation. Or like, I'm trying to eat, I'm really eating more veggies and protein. It makes my body feel so much better. I really get sick when I eat this, or I'm just going to have water. Like, you don't have to go into explanations on those things, but just kind of be aware that people sometimes ask questions or say comments that aren't very polite because they're interpreting how that fits within their whole life experience. So what does it mean to them because you didn't eat the pie and they did? Okay, that's kind of what's going on in their brain. So just having compassion and love and happiness, and really focusing on relationships in these holidays, and not focusing on the food. Like, constantly check yourself of where you are in your head with your food, because it makes a difference in your journey. If we're always talking in our head about deprivation and feeling left out and having all of that, there's a video you can search on YouTube, Optavia, Habits of Health, Deprivation. It's so good. It's this guy, his name's, oh, I just forgot his name, but he's bald and he's actually a quadriplegic. So he's in there. So watching where that mindset is and like what do we want to achieve, because the goal is not just to lose the weight, the goal is to think differently. And if our thinking hasn't served us, and we'd be at our goal if we had it be all in alignment, right? So what can we learn? How can we give grace to ourselves? The worst thing I could have my clients do, worst thing, is for you to maybe end up giving in, quote unquote, to whatever, and then also justification with it, and then feeling really shameful about it, that making it mean something about you in your value. Do not do that. That is so unhealthy. I would rather have you recognize the importance of this journey is about coming from a place of love to create health. It's not that you're not enough. Those are two different models. So I just wanted to share that with you. And if you have any other questions, let me know. And so my tips: eat every 3 hours, even on Thanksgiving, drink your water, have a plan, be a good example, and to yourself. This is like 100% personal responsibility, nobody else. Anyway, you're awesome. Thanks.